Joining me now is the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy. President Zelenskyy, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning and greetings to you.
Well, President Zelenskyy, it is an historic morning. I want to get your reaction to this major news. The House approving $61 billion in aid to Ukraine. It's expected to pass through the Senate. But you have been asking for this aid for 6 months. In that time, you have run out of ammunition. You've suffered setbacks on the battlefield. Will you get this aid in time to make a difference?
Yeah, it's been so important. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to the Congress for the bipartisan support. And I'd like to say thanks to Speaker Johnson and President Biden. Indeed, it is so important, this support from the United States of America. And, of course, it's the support of the American people, because, of course, the political decisions depend on the public opinion. And this aid will strengthen Ukraine and send the Kremlin a powerful signal that it will not be the second Afghanistan. The United States will stay with Ukraine, will protect the Ukrainians, and they will they'll protect democracy in the world. This is the show of leadership and strength of the United States. And I think, indeed, now we've reached this important moment. For half a year we've been waiting, and I would like to say thanks to all the team on my side and on the US side, the team who did everything so that we would get this positive vote. And today we definitely need this aid. And Christian, you know, we really need to get this to the final point. We need to get it approved by the Senate, and then we want to, well, get things as fast as possible so that we get some tangible assistance for the soldiers on the front line as soon as possible, not in another 6 months, so that they would be able to move ahead.
You know, you said this week, President Zelenskyy, that Ukraine would have no chance of winning without more U.S. support. And I guess the question is, can Ukraine now win this war, or is the United States merely giving you enough aid to prolong this war?
Thank you. I think this support will really strengthen the armed forces of Ukraine. And we will have a chance for victory if Ukraine really gets the weapon system, which we need so much, which the thousands of soldiers need so much. And this aid should not be just spread in thin layer all over, but it has to end up in tangible weapon systems, some really crucial weapon system which are hard to get, the long-range artillery. And I really appreciate that it mentions ATACMS, so long-range weapons, and it's important because we need long-range weapons to not lose people on the front line, because we have casualties, because we cannot reach that far. Our weapons are not that long range, so we need it, and air defense. This is crucial. These are the priorities now.
President Zelenskyy, as you know, this aid was held up for half a year because there is fierce opposition to sending more aid to Ukraine, particularly amongst some Republicans. How long should Americans be expected to fund the war in Ukraine?
The Americans are not funding the war in Ukraine. They first and foremost protect freedom and democracy all over Europe. And Ukraine is fighting And Ukraine is sending its best sons and daughters to the front line, and it reduces the price for all Europe, for all NATO. It reduces the price for everyone, including the US as the leaders in the NATO. Oh, US army now does not have to fight protecting NATO countries. Ukrainians are doing that. And it's only the ammo that the civilized world is providing. And I think it's a good decision. That is why we do need to keep supporting. While Ukraine stands, there's no direct war between US or NATO and Russian aggression. So Ukraine is still fighting, and Ukraine is protecting all the others.
President Zelenskyy, can you give Americans a sense of the timeline? Will you still need as much aid this time next year? Or do you think you can turn the corner on Russia? What's the timeline?
Well, it depends on when we actually get weapons on the ground, as you said it, Christian. If we get it in half a year, well, we've had the process stalled for half a year, and we had losses in several directions. The losses in men, in equipment. In the East, it was very difficult, and we did lose the initiative there. Now, we have all the chance to stabilize the situation and to overtake the initiative. And that's why we need to actually have the weapon systems. When we get it, when we have it in our arms, then we do have the chance to take this initiative and to move ahead and to protect Ukraine. But giving you a specific timeline of the war, well, it depends on how soon we get this aid. There are so many variables, so many factors, and sometimes when we protect the important line, you retreat because you don't have enough forces and equipment, and then retaking that line would take 2 or 3 times more. I'm not saying that this is how it's going to end up, but things are possible, and I can give you an example with F-16. It's a great example. The decision to supply F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine, well, we've had it a year ago. 1 year ago, we got the positive response. Ukraine should receive these fighter jets so that not only air defense protects the sky, but we also have modern jets. A year has passed, we still don't have the jets in Ukraine. So it's very difficult to do any forecast. I would like us to be open and very, very specific. From the moment we get our hands on these weapon systems, well, from that moment, we can talk about the timeline.
President Zelenskyy, Ukrainian intelligence suggests that the Kremlin is preparing for a major offensive in the coming months. You have said by your own account that they are prepared to outgun you 10-1 in firepower by some estimations. Will you be ready for that offensive?
We are preparing. The personnel is preparing. The soldiers are engaged in training. And I don't want to repeat myself, but well, we are waiting for the weapon systems because we want to have the brigades fully equipped. And, some of them are exhausted. We need to replace them, but these new brigades, they have to have the equipment. Russia wants to mobilize 300,000 people by June 1st. We are getting ready for this. By May 9th, Russia expects that in the east of Ukraine, they will take Chasiv Yar city. I visited the region recently. I talked to the soldiers. The soldiers say that they lack equipment. They need to fight Russian reconnaissance drones, which essentially guide the artillery. And we need artillery shells. I hope we'll be able to stay, and the weapons will come on time, and we will repel the enemy, and then we'll break the plans of the Russian Federation with regards to this full-scale offensive.
I want to ask you, President Zelenskyy, about reports of a lack of morale. Some 650,000 men who are eligible to fight, we are told, have fled Ukraine. You have lowered the draft eligible age, but you've resisted a full call-up of all Ukrainian men. What do you say to young men who don't want to fight, who don't want to risk their lives in this war for their country?
This war is the war for the sake of all of us. This is our land. We don't have another place to go, and the citizens of Ukraine understand that. Of course, there are people who don't want, who are not ready, but we do have this mobilization campaign, we do have the draft, we do have a strong army, and we can be frank, in Russia, of course, they have more people, and people are forced there. So, for example, if someone in Russia is deserting the battlefield, they just shoot them on sight. We cannot do that because we have the democratic values. We live in the democratic country. So, to be frank, in Ukraine, you really have a lot of people who are ready to protect the motherland. But of course, the motivation, the morale can go down, especially when they go to the front line and they see that, well, there are no shells, there are no equipment. That's why the aid from the states is so important. And people who were trained, they need to be trained by professional people, and they need to have the equipment to be used so that they have this equipment not only on the training field, but also on the actual battlefield. And then, indeed, they can show the performance on the front line. This is very important.
President Zelenskyy,
the morale will still high. And then they will indeed defend the motherland.
The Washington Post is reporting that Donald Trump has privately said he could end Russia's war in Ukraine by pressuring Ukraine to give up some territory like Crimea, like the Donbas region. What is your reaction? And realistically speaking, do you see this war ending in a negotiation with Russia?
Firstly, I would like to say that, well, I'm a president of the country at war, and rumors and different hearsay, I don't believe that. When Trump comes here and would tell me their formula of peace, then I would be able to provide the response. At the moment, I know that, well, things Putin wants, for sure, they cannot happen. And I'm sure that people who know him well, they know that you can never trust Putin. It's impossible. So the strategy of ending the war should be based not on the words which Putin says or some other people from his entourage say, but on something very specific, something very tangible, when Ukraine that is independent and democratic, and I'm confident that everyone is interested in that. All the political elite in the US also are interested to have Ukraine independent and sovereign and democratic. It's of interest for both the Republicans and the Democrats.
President Zelenskyy, back in February, Donald Trump encouraged Putin to invade NATO countries that he doesn't believe are contributing enough to defense spending. What kind of a message do you think that sends to the world?
Мені невідомі ці деталі. Я знаю
Well, I don't know the details of that speech. I know for sure, if Ukraine fails, then Putin definitely will invade the Baltic countries. Why?
цікава ідея або стратегія.
Not because there's some interesting idea, strategy, but because Putin wants to return the influence of the Soviet Union. And he really wants to retake, through force, through war, he wants to retake all former Soviet republics and now independent states. Whether they are in the NATO or not, he doesn't care. That is why this is his strategy. Of course, after the Baltic states, also Poland and parts of Germany would
President
also
Zelensky,
be in the...
big picture, Germany's top military official has warned that Putin could be ready to attack NATO countries in as soon as 5 years. Following up on what you are saying, how big of a threat do you see Putin to the West?
Я вважаю, що він хоче йти далі.
I think he does want to go further. As I said, he wants to reinstate Soviet Union and the Soviet bloc, and they do that in terms of information, misinformation. They just bribe different political groups in democracies, not only in Europe, in Latin America, in Africa. They have the influence everywhere, and they do this to split the world, so the risk is high. And I think this German diplomat said that it's not even about the wish of Putin, but is that if Putin is not stopped, then Putin is ready to attack NATO, even if you look at the sheer size of the army and weapons that they have. So we have to be ready to stop him now, because a frozen conflicts, well, we've seen that in Georgia, we've seen that in other countries. So if we give the big pause to Putin, if we freeze the war right where we are, this will enable him, because all his industry will start working not for the war in Ukraine, but will start working for the war against NATO.
President Zelenskyy, you are not just a president, you are also a father. You have survived multiple assassination attempts. Tens of thousands of your fellow citizens have been killed and injured. Millions have left their homes. Have you ever lost hope?
Не можна втрачати.
You can never lose hope. You can never lose hope. You can never lose freedom. You can never lose independence. Otherwise, you just lose everything. You lose your state. You lose your security for your children. For, like, all the children in Ukraine are my children. I will then lose everything. And I have to show the example. If I lose hope, well, my children would lose their future in the independent country, and then we would lose Ukraine as the nation. It's not only about the territory. It's about ourselves, our identity. So we cannot lose hope. We've had different moments. Some were very cruel. There were moments of challenge, and I'm sure in the history of the United States, they also had many moments when the people of the US had to fight for their independence. We remember the period of Franklin, when, well, many people lost hope. Some people emigrated to France, but some people raised the banner of the United States, the banner of independence. And some people were skeptical on both sides of the ocean, in Europe too. But people didn't give up. And I think, well, you got the independent country and the world got this great democracy. So we cannot lose hope either.
President Zelenskyy, thank you for being here on this monumental morning. We really appreciate your perspective and having a chance to talk to you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.